What's up? Why black men must study their history to be powerful. Now, if you're a black man out there and you're trying to self improve and gain a grounded identity in being a black man, I have a deep dive guide on all of those things. Everything from learning who to look up to in black history, uh eating healthier, becoming more financially literate, and even learning how to organize and come together with other black men in your community to see the whole community rise, the whole black community rise, and a black man to be strong, not only as a community but as an individual. If you're interested in increasing yourself in those ways as a black man, the link for that will be in the comments of this video, the description of this video, and click on my channel in the bio section. You'll see the link for that, so click on that and check that out. Now, it is so important that we as black men do a deep dive into black history and to understand what your ancestors went through, the people before you, what they had to go through for you to be here. Because let's be real, like, we're here for a reason. Black people are in America for a reason, right? I'm here. My ancestors, they were here so that I could be here. You get what I'm saying? And it's a lot of things, it's a lot of heroes in our history that we don't learn enough about, because we hear about Martin Luther King, we hear about Rosa Parks, we hear about a lot of the passive black leaders who didn't advocate for, any type of real change. Not saying that Martin Luther King didn't do anything that good, but what I'm saying is it's always the more passive black activists that they try to glorify. They don't glorify anybody like a Malcolm X, like a Elijah Muhammad, and more importantly, one of the people who is who we need to learn way more about, who is probably the most powerful black man, the strongest black man, the black man who had the strongest will, was Nat Turner. And I was just looking at that. I watched the video on that, and that's one man that we have to really look at a lot of the times in black history as black men, because people don't really understand. That give me so much fire and energy learning about Nat Turner. He was born a slave. He was a slave, right? And he led a slave revolt, right? This is not a Harriet Tubman type of thing where he led people in the Underground Railroad. He had an actual slave revolt, and that tells you how strong does a man have to be. He was born a slave, but in his mind, he was never a slave. It was a time that came and he stepped up and he did what he had to do, and he was fighting for us, right? He was fighting for us, and you have to identify who the enemy is. And this is why it's important that we look today that the nature of a human being does not change with time, right? Because it's 2026 and we're not slaves anymore, in at least in a physical sense, in a legal sense, right? That doesn't mean that the nature of the people who oppressed us, the people who enslaved us, has changed. And that really doesn't mean that the nature of black people has changed that much either. Uh, and that's, it's a lot of proof to even to prove that, because during segregation, the black man was doing better. The black woman was doing better, right? So we have to understand that. When you look at during segregation, the black woman was having more kids than the black woman was having more kids than the white woman. Why is that? Because we were communal. We had each other. We depended on each other. The black man was the ultimate authority of the black woman, uh, in a lot of ways at that time, because we were all together. You get what I'm saying? We were all together. And so as time goes on, what happens? you know Integration happens, and the black man and the black woman separate, and nowadays, we're about almost against each other. We repelling each other. uh but the thing I'm trying to emphasize is, man, is that there's a lot of powerful people, and there's a lot of things that we have to understand to get to a better future that happened in the history, right? And I go and I look at all these things, and I'm like, we don't have a good future. A lot of times we don't have a good future as of right now, because the direction we're headed, it's not good on every level. It's just not good because we're not organized. The black men and the black women aren't coming together. uh we're cooperating with the government still. It's so many things. But let me get back to Nat Turner. When you look at Nat Turner, every black man should feed off of what he did for us. And we should have that energy to get up and to defend for our community, create in our community, you know, keep our community exclusive to black people, right? And I know that's the thing that people don't like to hear too. They want to be like, well, everybody can't do this. And, because you will run into a lot of black people who's like, well, I'm not about that. I like people for, it's just people and they're good people and they're bad people. I agree. It's good people and get bad people. But when you're trying to secure, if you're a black man, you should be trying to secure a better future for black people. Obviously, first work on yourself individually, yes, but you should have a goal to bring the whole black community up, and that's not gonna come easily. I understand that, right? But I think any black man that's watching my videos, go deeper into Nat Turner, you know, and look at, just understand how powerful a black man has to be when you were actually born a slave and you led a slave revolt, and you were going to slave compound to slave compound, and you were doing so many things. Nat Turner did so many things where it's like you have to really give him credit and place him in your mind whenever you're trying to do something for black people. You're trying to help black people rise, right? Because nowadays, because that was a real man. That was a man who was not a speaker, right? He wasn't educated, right? But he fought for something. He had that desire and that passion, right? So this is deeper than being having credentials and looking smart. No, this is about people who got that passion and who got that desire to be free, to have sovereignty, right? To not be oppressed, you know? And I think nowadays, man, it's just a lot of things that gotta change, right? When you start to dive into history, you start to see what type of future we need to have a better future, to secure our prosperity and us rising as black people. Nowadays, which is a scary thing, you can run across a lot of black people who aren't really black people. You can run across a lot of black people who they really don't care about black people rising. They don't care about any of that. They'd rather be with another race. They'd rather cater to another race. Uh, and they hate themselves. They have a lack of identity. And another scary thing is they don't even know the history. Why? A lot of times they don't care to know because they don't care about black people. They don't care about themselves. They rather know about the history of the white man. They rather know about the history of the Chinese man. They rather know about the history of the Indian or the Mexican man, right? Which is crazy because the black man, the black woman, has the longest history of all of those races. We have the longest history. The black people came first, and that's scientifically proven. So, yeah, man, that's pretty much all I gotta say. Peace out.